Good morning to the Honorable Prime Minister of the Council, members of the media, radio listeners via St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM, respective radio stations island-wide, Tel TV Plus Channel 15, and online viewers. I'm Rolika Roach, and welcome to the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, November 6, 2024. At this time, I would like to invite the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, Dr. Luc Marcelina, to address you. Prime Minister Marcelina, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. At the first place, I would like to welcome the members of the media. Secondly, of course, the representatives of the CoM. And thirdly, of course, the people of St. Martin. Good morning to all. Before going into our debriefing, I would like to extend my heartfelt condolences to the family members and the friends of Mrs. Melinda Hoover, that has been a very nice person in our community. Further, I would like to also extend my condolences in the name of the government of St. Martin and the people of St. Martin for Mr. Charlie Myers, known, of course, of the big known family Myers, being the brother of our Member of Parliament, Mr. Frankie Myers. And also I would like to extend my condolences to our icon in our artistic world of St. Martin, the late Mrs. Ruby Butte. This month has been a turbulent month, I think, with losses of great souls of our community. But these are all wishes of our Creator that we have to respect. And I wish the family members and friends a lot of strength in these difficult times that they are going to confront by saying goodbye to their beloved ones. We will miss all of them, of course. And once more, I want to still thank them for what they have been as a significance for country St. Martin. Secondly, I have to give some debriefing that I think the country is waiting on. First of all, we would like to know where are we standing with the formation of our government. As you know, I have been requested to be the formateur of the new government as a result of the outcome of the elections that took place on the 19th of August. I accepted that position, and last Monday I have received the end report of the VDSM, the Veiligheidsdienst St. Martin, the Security Service for Nation St. Martin. And in the end of last week, I received the reports of the Attorney General from Curaçao. Based on the reports, I have had a meeting already this week with the governor, and we are now in the state that I will have to deliver my end report as formateur. That will take place before the 15th of November. That has been agreed upon as an ultimatum to deliver my report. And the swearing-in date, installation of the new government, will be the 26th of November. So we are so far. Actually, the formateur was already a long time ready, but as you know, the VDSM and the PG can take the time that they think is necessary to do their research, for them to come to their end conclusion for the candidate ministers. So that part is not in my hands and under my control, and that means that I had to just wait with patience on the reports. And as I said, past Monday, I have received the last update in the form of a report of the VDSM. And in the second half of last week, I received from the Procureur-Generaal, the Attorney General. So we have both reports now. We are finalizing the process. I'm going to hand over my report as formateur in the first half of next week on the basis of the findings of the research that took place by the PG, the Attorney General, and the Security Service of St. Martin, the VDSM, and we came already to an end conclusion that the swearing-in installment of the new government will be the 26th of November. Secondly, an update on GEBE. The engine 19 that was actually initially the trigger that at the end of the day we ended up with more challenges by our GEBE. This engine 19 that delivers approximately 10.5 megawatt that had a crankshaft issue is ultimately completely repaired, and it's back as a generator delivering 10.5 megawatt to the grid. We are very, very happy that that mission has been accomplished. We had also an issue with engine 16 that was also a crankshaft issue, and that engine 16 can deliver 7.5 megawatts, and we are expecting also to have this engine 16 ready and operational in the first week of December. Thirdly, we have, as we all know, received the 20 megawatt extra containerized generators, and these are now placed already by the location of the plant of GEBE in KB. These 20 containerized generators will be, as planned, operational end of this month. These are, of course, great news and developments that at the end of the day is going to stabilize again the grid for the community of St. Martin. We have had, for example, yesterday a load shedding for a few hours. I have discussed that with GEBE, and we had a load shedding on Monday, and it had to do with still the servicing of our generators without having the assistance still of the 20 megawatt. The intention is once we have the additional 20 megawatt actually connected and operational for the grid of St. Martin, we will have a complete good control of the issue and challenge of load shedding. That means that we are on our way to stabilize the demand and the production of energy for country St. Martin. That is actually the highlights, I think, that I would like to share with the media. If there is any question, of course, I'm willing to delve into any question posed by the representatives of the media of St. Martin.
Thank you, Prime Minister Marcelino. Yeah. At this time, I would like to invite our members of the media to pose their questions to the Honorable Prime Minister, and we will begin with Emma Lee of Island 92 Radio. You have the floor.
Good morning, Prime Minister.
Good morning.
I think it's good news about the progress being made with GEBE.
Yep.
Reports are from the tourism sector that the power issues have impacted bookings for this high season, that consumers have felt like it's a little unclear how stable is the island and have either canceled or postponed their trips. Given the news that you're explaining now, is government planning a sustained public relations campaign to let the world know that St. Martin's over its hurdle and ready for tourists to come back?
We are almost there, of course. We have to get the 20 megawatt connected and commissioned, completely functional. As I said, that would be end of November. So we have to be careful to be ahead of the facts. But once we have the full confidence that we have those 20 megawatts completely commissioned and operational, we have an obligation of government also to give the world the information that we are again in stable situation with production and the consumption of energy for country St. Martin. We will have to do that to try to recover back from the negative effect that this energy crisis have had for the community of St. Martin. Of course, we will have to have the necessary communication with the outside world to give those that are planning to come back the confidence that it will be okay once they are here on the island.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Judy Fitzpatrick of the Daily Herald, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Prime Minister, colleagues, DCOM. Prime Minister, I will stick on the issue of GEBE.
Yeah.
A motion was passed in Parliament, of course. You did not support this motion for the relief on consumers with the 50% off their bills up to 5,000 guilders. Now, several MPs indicated that this is unrealistic. So my question to you is this something that GEBE can afford, one? And two, given that it was said that it's unrealistic, does this mean that it's not going to be implemented? I really want to know if you can be clear on that, because there can be a situation where persons would withhold paying their bills, hoping that something like this would be implemented, and that can, of course, further deteriorate the financial position of GEBE. I also wanted to ask you a clarification on what you mentioned earlier about Engine 19 and so forth. What we have not really gotten during this whole crisis of GEBE is what is the cost of all of this for the company. So the rental of the 10 megawatt, the purchase of the 20 megawatt, preparation to install all of these things and so forth. What is the budget that GEB is spending for all of this? Thank you.
You're welcome. Coming back to the motion. This energy crisis has been a serious issue for the sustainability of our community. It's not something to play politics with. I said it in the past already. If you read the motion good, it says, for example, that if you have a debt of 5,000, you're going to get a deduction. If you have a debt of 5,000 or more, you're going to get a deduction of 2,500, being the half of the 5,000. That means that if I'm a payer and my neighbor is not a payer of bills, I'm now going to wait until my bill invoice passes in debt 5,000, and then I'm going to come to GEBE and tell them I want a discount of 2,500 guilders. I think that is not correct. And seeing, based on your second question about what did this cost our GEBE to survive the crisis that they also didn't want to be in, but it cost money with great expenses on the first 10 megawatt leased containerized generators, and then the 20 megawatt purchase of rent-to-own containers, still fighting with a backlog of invoices that has to be paid. I think it's unrealistic what this motion has brought forward. I am one of the members of parliament that voted against the motion, not because I'm not aware of the suffering of the people of St. Martin, but I find that we should not play politics in this serious moment of challenges that the people of St. Martin is going in based on the fact of popularism. I do not believe that is honest and correct to the people of St. Martin. Realizing also that we have one GEBE company, one utility company for our country. We can wish whatever we want, but at the end of the day, it has to stay a company that can offer continuity of energy too. And if we want to break it by forcing them to give discount on everything, at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, what are we going to achieve on the long term with a company that we have actually broken on the base of those measures that are intended to be taken on the proposal of the motion. I have voted against. If there is somebody that is very concerned with the well-being of the people of St. Martin, it's me. But not that I'm going to play politics and a standpoint of popularism just to be the one understanding. The people of St. Martin understand already where this government is standing in their understanding of the challenges that they're going through. But you should not actually manipulate the mind of people that are already suffering, realizing that you cannot accomplish all the items on the motion. I have to say, though, there are items on the motion that I could agree with. But seeing the fact that I had to accept the whole package in the motion, I elucidated that too. I could not agree with the motion because if I agree with the motion, I have to agree with all the content of the motion, and I could not. And that is the reason that I personally voted against. Another effort that we are working on is, for example, the fuel clause that has been for months discussed already by the people of St. Martin. We know that the fuel clause is actually being calculated and determined by several factors. One of them is, for example, the price that we have to pay to Sol, for example, for the storage of the fuel. That's one. Secondly, we are consuming water from 7 seas to keep this plant going. That's two. We are paying the harbor the throughput fee. That is, once that fuel comes in, we have to have a contribution to a deal that has been made in the past for what they call the throughput fee. GB on its own, government on the other side. We are all stakeholders in contribution to a fuel clause. So what we are doing now, we took a decision that we are going to negotiate, meet with all the stakeholders that has a part in this fuel clause and see if we can come to an agreement that everybody contributes its part for us at the end of the day to see if we can lower the fuel clause to help the suffering people in St. Martin. We are now busy with it. Meetings are planned to take place. We had the first one already with GEBE. As I told you, GEBE is one of the stakeholders. 7 Seas is going to be one of the stakeholders. The harbor is going to be. Government itself, for example, is also a stakeholder in this story. So everybody will have to do something to contribute to lower the fuel clause. So we are working on it.
You didn't clear, Prime Minister, whether it will not be implemented.
No, we realize the fact that once more, I repeat, there are good items in that motion. Of course, we realize that too. But because it's presented, take it or leave it, that's why you accept the motion. That means you agree with the content of it. You cannot say, I agree with it, but I don't want the third and the fourth condition in the motion. It's not possible. So once you cannot agree with the package, it's either you go for it or you can't go for it. Once I put my signature under that motion that I accept it or I propose it as a member of parliament to government, that means that I agree with all the items mentioned in the motion. And that is not possible. So that's why I had to go against the motion, saying, though, I made that statement, elucidated my position towards this motion, that there are items, of course, that we knew already. We didn't need that motion to know that of course we're going to, one of them is to see how we're going to mitigate the fuel clause. Okay? You're welcome.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We now move on to the second round. Emil, you have the floor.
As Prime Minister, the Irma recovery funds fall under your portfolio.
The what?
Irma recovery funds, the
Yes.
NRPB.
NRPB, yes.
One of the objectives of those recovery funds is to develop local capacity for resilience and recovery and rebuilding. I've received feedback from some local construction companies that the criteria to qualify for some of the projects are such an extent that they're being excluded, and basically means that only foreign construction companies are going to be able to qualify. And apparently there's construction companies that may be state-sponsored, so their prices are artificially low and make it difficult for them to comply or for local companies to be competitive. Are you aware of this, and is this something that you're looking into to ensure that local participation is included in these projects?
Yes, so I am aware of that. I even wrote a letter to the NRPB discussing this matter. It's a procurement that has been worked on by the World Bank about the references to be able to get a project to execute. Government is not in that establishing of procurement, for example, in the bidding of projects. That is not our part. That means that they keep guidelines for procurement, and on the base of those procurement guidelines, that decision has been taken, I understood, to give some projects to foreign construction companies. You have to realize, though, that, of course, my preference goes out to give local companies the priority. I stated that also in the letter that I sent to the NRPB. But at the end of the day, as a government, the deal that has been made between the Netherlands and the World Bank and the steering committee is that we as a government would only indicate the projects that we would like for Country St. Martin, and that they from the NRPB and the steering committee and the World Bank would decide about how they're going to actually finalize the request and the wishes of the government of St. Martin. And that is outside our prerogative and our authority. But for sure, I'm aware it is unfortunately that is happening. I wrote a letter, as I told you, about this finding. And still, it's a point of discussion that is still being discussed with the government of the Netherlands too.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Judy, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Prime Minister, you still did not indicate the total cost.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, not because I didn't want, but I forgot to do that.
But
I gave some figures last, I think it was on request of a question posed in Parliament. We spent approximately in the deal to rent the containers, out of my head, approximately 1.8 million for the rent of the first set of 10 megawatt containers, approximately. And if I'm not mistaken, we have spent approximately 7.6 million in the purchase of the 20 megawatt containers. I do not know the figure exactly, but I recall, if you ask me, a guideline in direction of figures, I recall those two figures of 1.7 and some, and the amount of 7.6 million, if I recall. That is only for the renting part and the rent to owe second set of 20 megawatt containers. And still, we have still to go with long-term investments to give guarantee to stability to the grid for country St. Martin.
Perhaps, Prime Minister, you can send me the correct information later, because what I was looking at is the total cost. So there is a cost to set up these.
I will have to look for the total cost for this intervention.
Yes,
of course,
always send
no
that
problem.
To me. Thank you so much.
No problem.
My question, Prime Minister, recently the shareholders of Enya, apparently they've approved for the sale of Mullet Bay. And I know this was a very big topic during the budget debate. So given that this step has been taken now by the shareholders, I would like to know whether government is privy to any information as to whether there are any potential buyers, and what steps can and will government take now that this decision has been made to be a player in this process. And can we afford Mullet Bay? I mean, yeah.
Can we afford Mullet Bay or not? That is a financial question. You know where Mullet Bay is located? Yes. Where? In St. Martin. You know where Mullet Bay is going to stay? In St. Martin. So Mullet Bay is, at the end of the day, in St. Martin. Secondly, a decision has been taken about the selling of Mullet Bay, as you stated in your question. That's only a decision. The follow-up and that decision has not taken place yet. So because there is still a decision can be taken in a resolution, for example, but that does not mean that the details are known and how are we going to move forward on the basis of a decision or a resolution. So we will have to wait and see what direction this is going, and when the time is there that we know what direction this is heading on the basis of the decision that has been taken with the selling of Mullet Bay, we will take the necessary actions to move forward with the possibility of how we're going to fit ourselves as government with our limited financial capacity to see how we're going to move forward with this Mullet Bay. We have to think very big now, as I said just now. Don't forget, at the end of the day, nobody can put this Mullet Bay in a luggage package and take it in the plane with them. At the end of the day, Mullet Bay is going to stay in St. Martin.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Prime Minister. As we are wrapped for time, all further questions will have to be sent to the Prime Minister's Cabinet in writing. Honorable Prime Minister of the Council, members of the media, radio listeners, and online viewers, this brings us to the end of the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, November 6, 2024. For rebroadcast, tune into stmartingov.org, St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM, TelTV Plus Channel 15, the official Facebook page of the Government of St. Martin, and YouTube channel, Government of St. Martin. For video on demand, log on to the Government of St. Martin's YouTube channel. On behalf of the Department of Communication and the Government of St. Martin, I'm Irma, wishing you a pleasant day further.